The Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com.
Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent.
Well, shalom, salama, siemi, shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world. Whether you're the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach, I welcome you this morning. I'm starting on time because we got a countdown to liftoff that, honestly, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. I had explained the artificial timelines that they provide, why they provide it, why I wouldn't be surprised in terms of now the rhetoric that they're going to start spinning on up regarding Iran. Now they're going to start spinning up this rhetoric of, oh, well, we can't verify everything. Amazing, when Starlink was up, there was 500 bodies, supposedly. Now that Starlink is down, it's 2,000, and all these folks in the morgue. And do you see how this works? See, understand we're in a time of very, very highly manipulative, highly deceptive actions that do what? It doesn't benefit us. I haven't seen my reparations check from this. Has anybody else? So as far as my position is, y'all may not like it. It may sound darn right cruel. But I want every so-called Black African American person of African descent, not just here in the United States, but all around the African diaspora. Because I want you to understand what it is that we've been saying, and now you're starting to get it from their lips. Understand how they move. This was it. The more that we just shut our mouths The more that we just sit back, the more we just choose to listen and not say anything, the more they're in a panic mode. But no, no, we should be out there on the streets. Who says? We should be out there doing this. Who says? Well, I say it. You see that women getting dragged in the car? You see that white woman that had been shot and killed? Why does that all line up with everything that I'm having on the thumbnail? Well, let me give you the understanding of these visual tie-ins. It's all about media control. Yep, the same thing that they do with this algorithm on this channel, YouTube, you name it. It's media control. And it's not media control, it's actually information control, because information control has been around since we got off of the slave ships. And it still proceeds to this very persist to this very moment, this very day. And I want to start off this live stream today, January 14th, in a very interesting manner. I'm going to provide some videos. This is all fair use. Fair use. Let me get this started right here.
Is just months away, but instead of excitement, anticipation, and celebration, the build-up is being dominated by backlash, fear, and controversies, primarily due to the political developments happening around. What began as criticism over sky-high ticket prices and visa uncertainty has now escalated into calls for a complete boycott of the World Cup. And the trigger this time was a woman's killing, a woman's death. A 37-year-old mother of three was shot dead by a federal immigration enforcement agent during an ICE operation, and this has had a global impact. It's ignited protests across the United States and has triggered a wave of fear among international football fans. Foreign visitors are canceling tickets and reconsidering travel plans for the World Cup because they no longer feel safe attending it. Are Donald Trump's immigration policies and law enforcement crackdowns already damaging football's biggest event on earth? Now, when the United States was awarded co-hosting rights for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, it was meant to be a watershed moment.
All right, I'm not going to go too far into this. Because I want you just to, I just want to get a clarification here. In her first 15 or first minute monologue, now people are taking actions because it was a white woman that got shot. I want you really to understand what she was saying without saying it. They don't care about us. They never have. They never did. We were entertainment. We were victual. And now they're roundabout basically saying it without saying it. And yep, Keith Porter. Thank you, Lila. Keith Porter. And now all of a sudden now, people want to cancel the World Cup because they're not feeling safe. Oh, gee. But you don't talk about the encounters that we have with the so called authorities. They're not talking about the encounters that we have that have left us lying dead on the pavement, getting shot in the back. That was here in Florida, in Hollywood, Florida. That video was just released where a man is walking away, all sorts of wide armed, not anything near his body, and he gets shot right in the back. And he died. Sounds like a Zechariah 11:5. Behold, find myself not guilty. I can do all this. I can murk them because why? Because their Elohim gave them to us. Their Elohim sold them out. There are victuals. There are property. There are birthright. So we have to sit there and take it and be deleted. Until we decided to say, you know what, Father, please hear your people. See, there are tremendous moments that happen when we literally just leave them alone. We begin to ask ourselves questions. We begin to read the word because we all innately we grow up with it. I don't care who you are. I don't care how messed up you've been. I don't care how far away you've been. Somehow, some way, you'll read a Bible, you'll read some scriptures, and you'll say, well, and we'll say this, if God is truly there, then let him show himself. Those are the words that mess them up because we cry out. And then when we cry out, guess what? The Most High, he's going to answer. And they absolutely hate that. Now, whether or not people do anything about it when the Most High answers them, that's up to them. Because I said this. I said, listen, the Most High has already let his people know during this time of the lockdown. It was up to people to take it seriously or just throw it away and reject it. And now it looks as though, in my opinion, they had a 7-year choice. All hell is already breaking loose, but by 2027, I don't know. I don't even know if we're going to be able to get to 2027. Do you see how many wars that they done started? And they're starting? How many conflicts that they're trying to kick off? Nobody else. that they have fomented. They already had every single possible angle. They already knew about all of the different military grade and capacities that Iran has. They know. They have the studies. They have the conditions planning, the conditions operations, all of that good stuff. If they do this, then we're going to do that. We have this ready. We have this messaging ready. We have that. We're meeting this decision point. They already have it. Hey, it was 500. Okay, all right. So now, according to supposedly, and now what they're going to do, because understandably speaking, there were more people, obviously, on the streets during the day in support of Khomeini than there were rioting at night. Oh, at night you can distort several images. You're not even going to get as many people. You could distort the image at the cover of night. Oh, look at all this stuff and look at what's happening. They would show the fires because the fire's magnitude, the people. That's a psychological operation at its finest. If you don't know anything about psychological operations, then you're going to look at it and be like, oh man, there's a lot of stuff going on and blah, 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 blah. That's insurrections and insurgencies. If you don't know how to foment it, then guess what? You don't know how things are constructed. So if you know how it's constructed, then you obviously know how to deconstruct it, right? You can build up the Lego set so you know how to tear down the Lego set one by one by one. And there you go. They shut the internet down, so now we could say as much as we want. The question is, does anybody buy it? And I'm going to say this, I don't buy it. I'll tell them it's a nice try. Especially for our people that buy that. Do you see all the 2,000 bodies piled up? No, I don't. How did they get that number anyway? Oh, as soon as they took down Starlink. Oh, so it just quadrupled. All of a sudden. Interesting comment that was made by our Caucasian Gentile brother. Off grid. Paul and Adrian. And it was very simple. Hey, they want them to dissent and to protest over there in Iran. However, when it comes to the United States, don't dissent, don't protest, don't go against the authority. Not here in the United States. Can you believe that level of hypocrisy? Well, why is it good for them and not good for over here? Not to say I'm not going to get involved. And I'm going to bring up this video by this young lady. And this to me nails it on the head of we would have healed Babylon, but she refused to be healed. And of course, the algorithms pick this on up because it comes from a white pill bottle. I don't care how the information gets disseminated. I really don't. I don't care where it comes from. I really don't. As long as it's getting on out there. That's the funny thing about AI and all these algorithms and everything else. Oh, they did not account for if their own people turned on them. This is what happens when your own people get off code. That breaks the algorithm. Uh-oh. Because why? Because now all of a sudden, white folks are having to speak up because now they're losing money. I told you that. The only reason that they will say anything is because they're losing out on personal wealth. It has nothing to do with anybody's safety, anybody's concern, none of that. Oh, ooh, ooh, I'm looking bad, and when I'm looking bad, I'm not making that much money, and if I'm not making that much money, then I have a problem because now I'm in parity with those that I've oppressed, particularly black folks, particularly African Americans. That's not racist, that's the truth. They are the ones that wanted to stream or throw on this. And if you've noticed this is coming from Trump. Literally, oh, well, white people had it bad during civil rights. Okay. Why? Because now their whole jujitsu mind game warrior trick is whites are there's no such thing as white supremacy, and civil rights was bad for white people. Again, he literally is telling you that, and now you're understanding why they're going to try to strike Iran, courtesy of that Eastern Mediterranean nation. Now it's like, oh, it's the next couple of days. I wonder why. Martin Luther King? Absolutely. We just talked about this yesterday. And then a few hours later, they have their little, Hal Turner, oh, covert intel. It's just hours away. Oh, surprise, surprise. MLK. Another black man that won the Nobel Peace Prize. Man, he can't get away. Trump can't get away from these black men that keep winning the Nobel Peace Prize. Obama didn't do anything. He was like, what is this? I got a Nobel Peace Prize. I don't even know what I did. But, I did all this stuff. I wonder what he says about MLK. Behind the scenes. I wonder what he says about it. You don't have to wonder. They already know. You already know what they say about us behind the scenes. They keep one or two shucking and jivings to make sure that it looks like they care or have some sort of a semblance of a kind and altruistic nature. I'm sure behind the scenes, Byron Davis, the HUD or person. Oh, Master, you show goods to me. Master, you shows is good. I love the position you gave me on this. I know it may not be much, but I understand. He probably has to cry. He probably has to literally, in his suit, get on his hands and knees and literally crawl over to the president and like kiss his feet. Something ridiculous. I can only imagine those meetings because you want to know why? Because the whole point is to continue to dehumanize us. Demean and dehumanize. And now the funny thing is, it's costing them. Imagine being a country, the first country ever to be boycotted, to have a World Cup boycott besides Qatar. But now the U.S., Oh, it's getting real out here. Let me play this video. Fair use again, fair use.
This is just for white people. So when I grew up, my mom would always try to wake me up and get me ready so that I could get on the school bus on time. And then some days I would just oversleep or I would ignore her because I wanted that extra fucking sleep because it was just so cozy and comfortable and I just felt so good while I was sleeping. And then ultimately I'd miss the bus. And then my mom would cuss me out, get me dressed, and have to drive me to school. But she's cussing me out the whole fucking way there because she told my ass to get up. That is me as a black person participating in anything political right now because we told you niggas to get the fuck up. You niggas did not want to get up. You niggas was so fucking comfortable. It was, oh, sleepy. Oh, 5 extra minutes. 5 extra minutes. You bitches wanted 5 extra minutes so bad you got it. Y'all wanted 5 extra minutes so bad. You got the 5 fucking extra minutes. Now we driving you bitch ass niggas to school and we barely want to fucking drive y'all. Y'all wanted 5 extra minutes and y'all got the shit. Now we barely want to drive you niggas to school and we cussing y'all ass out the whole fucking way because we told y'all ass to get the fuck up and y'all didn't want to get up. You niggas didn't want to get up. Y'all wanted 5 extra minutes so fucking bad. You got it. Congratulations. It's the fucking country you have. Now they killing y'all ass. Now y'all actually care. What the fuck? 5 extra minutes. That's all y'all fucking wanted. So just know, while anything I'm politicating in right now, I barely want to be there, bro. Because we told you niggas so fucking long ago. And you niggas did not care because it wasn't happening to y'all on a mass level. It was happening to us, so it was fucking cool. Fuck y'all.
Very poignantly put. I would put it in a way that wouldn't have as many expletives. I get it. But boy, oh boy, did she say everything that was on people's minds. I told you they got woken up out of their sleep. I told you this Gentile awakening was going to be a Gentile crash out. We said this. We said this. Our young sister said that so eloquently. Everything was 100% truth. And now they're on the cusp of a disastrous World Cup. We already know that. If people even decide to show up. Maribel, I know the scripture you're talking about where our sons and our daughters will be prophesying. Yep. I don't have that. I don't have that on my mind right now. But I know the scripture you're talking about, and that's what it is. By and large, our people have awoken. We've been waking up. We've been awakened. We've been walking around, and now, remember they always demonize woke. Just wait until they get one of them with the Trump flag gets caught up. And as Rogan said it, I didn't say it. Rogan said this. Joe Rogan, a Gestapo operation. Wait until MAGA loses their mind. And the reality is that they bankrupted themselves because they have been morally bankrupted. And we said this. And now all of a sudden, they're bringing in other people groups. I was trying to find this. Somebody had stated this. There was a protester. If I can find this video, this protester was basically stating that the time for peace was over. And of course, this was not an African American. I believe he was either Hispanic or Native American because they're targeting everybody. I believe the one person that was arrested in the video, yes, she was a Native American. Or she may have been. I'm not sure. Let me make sure I get my facts straight. Here's this article. I want to show this. So it says Aglala tribe. I hope I'm not butchering it that bad. Aglala Sioux tribe says through three tribal members arrested in Minneapolis are in ICE detention. The president of the Aglala Sioux tribe in South Dakota said three of the four tribal members detained by ICE agents in Minneapolis last week have been So the president of the Agalawa tribe in South Dakota on Tuesday called for the immediate release of tribal members who were detained at a homeless encampment by immigration and customs enforcement agents in Minnesota last week. Man, this is a poorly written article. Such a poorly written. So the members who were arrested in Minneapolis on Friday have been transferred to an ICE facility at Fort Snelling. President Frank Starr comes out said in a statement released with the memorandum sent to federal immigration authorities. The Oglala Sioux tribes memorandum makes clear that tribal citizens are not aliens and are categorically outside immigration jurisdiction, Starr comes out said. Okay, just making sure. Starr comes out. Interesting. Enrolled tribal members are citizens of the United States by statute and citizens of the Oglala Sioux Nation by treaty. When does the United States respect any treaties? I'm just saying, when has the United States ever respected any treaties? They said, all right, well, we will be able to figure that on out once they are outside of the U.S. and they'll be able to make their claim. But I was. But I. So it's very interesting to see all of these things happening as we speak. Because not only that, have they shot themselves in the foot with their blatant, banal mishaps. Now you have a president purportedly saying that they may be screwed. That they may be screwed because of the tariffs and the tariff rulings that may be found illegal. I am actually pretty confident that the tariffs will be found illegal. There has been U.S. law and precedent on that. The reason that he was trying to even get away with it was he was trying to base that on national security as the framing of it. And that doesn't really constitute immediate national security. It doesn't. In all reality, it really should have gone to Congress, and then Congress should have been the ones that would have been adjudicated via vote of the tariffs. Because the reality is this: the tariffs are always, and in the manner that this was used, this was economic warfare. So let's just be straight. It was an economic declaration of war that Congress would have stalled straight through, especially at that time, supposedly. And not just Congress, people here, because we would have been talking about it. Again, we would have been talking about it, but we wouldn't have cared. Let them do what they're going to do. Look, the more they do what they do, I look at it like this: the sooner we go home. The more they want to do what they're going to do, the sooner our captivity is over with. That's just my opinion. Because everything that they're doing right now is just literally showing, yeah, our captivity is literally about to end. Because now they're literally doing way too much, and they're doing so much that these folks wanted to do arbitrage on silver by trying to say that they're going to trade a value, a commodity, a mineral that they don't even have enough of, quantity speaking, for a physical call. So now a call margin is in place, potentially speaking, with the rumors of Scott Bessent at the U.S. Treasury Department having to figure on out how they would be able to fund this scheme that the banks participate in. Everything is all connected. But when you're running out of the money was the silver. And when people are saying, "Hey, I want to not just trade this on paper. I want to get actual physical value." The reality is this: they're going to pull all the physical value of all the silver here in the United States, i.e., basically, it's going to be a silver confiscation. That's what's going to be coming. More than likely, that's what's going to be coming. They're going to say it in a not so overt manner. Hey, we really can't fund this silver. So if there's silver or anything else in banks, if there's silver or anything else in personal safe deposits and things of that nature. If there's silver that people have, hey, we're going to buy all your silver. We're going to liquidate down the silver so they could do what? So they could try to not default on that call margin. Because at the end of the day, the world supplier of silver is China, and China literally froze on out the United States. That was last week. Excuse me. Talk about a panic. There's more than two ways to skin a cat. And they said that. They said, look, you don't want to release Maduro. You're going to start to find out. And now they're about to F around and find out. Now you're about to have some major defaults going on. Well, let's default them in minerals, because then now they're starting to see how these countries are about to put the major squeeze on the United States. When people say it'll never be done, yeah, right, it'll never be done. They can't collapse the dollar. They can't. Who says? That should always be the question. Who says? Because again, as that young lady had eloquently said with a lot of profanity, granted, these folks are asleep at the wheel. That could never. You know, all the people that say that it could never, that's all the people I know that, dang, their brainwash and their programming is totally complete. Because when it does happen, it's like, well, you know, who could have ever said that, or looked at that, or they start to sound like seals. Man, blow your little horns. Use your little snout and blow those little horns, because you're looking like a circus animal over there. Brah, 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 brah. I didn't think that was going to happen, but everybody says, when I hear that everybody says, I'm like, that means that you can't think independently. Because when that does happen, and it's happened quite often, and we said, oh, surprise, surprise, oh, look at that, wow, we saw that coming. Actually, we called that, actually we spoke about it. Actually, had a live stream and a panel about it on that live stream. Look at what happened. Surprise, surprise. Nobody, at least in this corner of the YouTube algorithm space, this corner of the YouTube matrix, they're getting distracted everywhere else, and over here, man, we're bending spoons. They're looking at the women in the red dress all day long. They're looking at Babylon all day long. And over here, we're sitting here looking at the Matrix telling, is it really real? Or do you think that it is real? We're bending spoons with our minds over here, because the Most High has given us a spirit of understanding, while they're literally just sitting, walking, moving, with literally no type of understanding. They're all plugged in. And that's the most dangerous thing when they're all plugged into this tower, this Babylonian tower. That is when everything is ripe, has been ripened to fall. That's when the Most High says, all right, go on down there, take your sickle, and let's start reaping that harvest. And their harvest is about to get reaped. That sickle's about to come down. Isn't it interesting that the nation that is the hammer and the sickle, where they're about to put things to the sickle, they're about to cut down? I think we have to even understand the literal biblical constructs on that. But as that young lady had mentioned, listen, we would have healed Babylon, but she refused. Why? Because she wanted to stay in bed. She wanted to stay asleep. They got so comfortable living deliciously off of our backs that they just poof fell asleep. I think we have to look a little bit more beyond the will Iran strike Israel if the US attacks. No, they're going to strike Israel. The reality is going to be, will Israel choose to stay or will they be allowed to flee? I think it's going to be this. Like I had stated, I mentioned this. I think, to be quite honest, 2025 was like, hey, get your bags packed with everything. That was 2025. 2026 is you're moving, is the eviction. I think, and I saw this story. I wanted to get a little bit more understanding of the story when it came to where they would go. I don't know if they would come to the United States, but I did hear a story of fires in the Patagonian mountains there in Argentina, and it's presumed that they are being set by those Eastern Mediterranean nation folks so they can basically move in. Argentina. Gee, who else was in Argentina or supposedly had been in Argentina from, I don't know, post World War II? I'll let you all figure that one out. Yeah, that 40 billion was always more than just beef. And remember, there's always money on the surface. There's always other financial incentives and things of that nature. Look, to me, I don't care where they move, but you already know they're not going to be able to have a claim or a hold of Africa. And I think that that's hilarious because, man, I Show Speed literally showed something. He literally single-handedly destroyed. He single-handedly destroyed white supremacy and the constructs of white supremacy, even within our own community. Which is really, truly amazing. And now people are mad because they are getting called out about it. Not only that, they're now seizing oil tankers left and right in different parts of the world, to include Europe. Everything is being destabilized. Very interesting time, very interesting moment. Again, this is our countdown to liftoff. Now you're going to start to see today. Now, today, they're going to up the ante on the rhetoric. They're going to say, hey, instead of these secret meetings, they're going to say, now we've had meetings in the past, blah, 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 because of all the heightened intel and everything else. And they'll say the disturbing intel that we're receiving indicates. How are you receiving it? We have our own means. How? We have sensitive, uh, 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 strategic assets in place that's able to. How? I'm going to tell you this. I honestly believe that whatever assets that they have, their own people are cut off. Just in my personal opinion. Because if you're now then disrupting every single frequency on out there on the spectrum, every single one, there's no communication methods. What they did was they exposed a very, very sensitive military capability. So what that does, let me kind of show you this strategy that's being employed. They're going to say this. Our sources have in the area have indicated. Now what they're doing is they're calling their bluff. And what they're going to do is they're going to lie about all the reporting. And they're going to blatantly lie. Hey, there's about now, it's believed to be at least over 100,000 people that have died. Why are they going to say that? Well, number one, they get a chance to deflect off of the situation in Gaza. Because if they say, hey, that's actually not the case, we have this information here, because they'll jam all of their signals except for that one critical signal that will go to either their Russian or their Chinese asset. That's how that works. Now the reality is that there are only going to be one person on that signal. And then what they'll try to do is continue to jam on out that signal because they'll be monitoring those signals. That's what happens. So, in my opinion, it'll probably be this. They probably have all of the radio signals jammed up. So, what they'll do is they will communicate via cable, and usually C cables. And I would probably say you may have some C cables there in the Caspian Sea, and then they'll be able to guide along that line some sort of line of sight directional transmission. Not to get too technical, basically they're going to use wires that's going to be probably via boats or other undersea cables to connect to Russia. Russia is not that far from Iran. It really is not. It is not. I think less than, honestly, 200 miles, maybe. Remember that that's a ground component that they have. They wouldn't have that there because they wouldn't even. I don't think they would even have anything in Iraq unless they go to that Isfahan area, the Shiraz area, I believe, in western Iran, Iraq, or eastern Iraq, to get reports and things of that nature. But at that time, man, they're going to be shutting down everybody's travel. So you're not going to be getting any type of intel reports that they'll say, well, we believe, because then you'll have Russia and China calling their bluff. Remember, these Iranians are smart. They're gonna have every type of contingency measure on out there. Oh, okay, you thought this. Oh, okay, you thought that. Remember that Eastern Mediterranean nation last year, last June, they didn't care. They still went in. So, with that being said, yeah, there is quite a lot to say. That's why I got this thing started early. I was right on time. We're in some very incredible moments here, probably in the next few days. I'm telling you, there, because you already know how that goes. Man, it's MLK. It's Martin Luther King birthday. We got to rain. We got to rain on their parade. They're not coming out to protest. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. We can't get their attention. That's a hard one. That's a hard sell. All right. Well, family, most high willing, I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you all for coming on this live stream. I gotta get my subs. Hey chat. Hey chat. Chat. Hey, chat. Shout out to our brother I Show Speed. That young man is definitely, he was doing what he needs to do. But I know he needed to take a day off today. Please pray for him. He's doing some great things. Not a lot of our people are awakened, but you want to know what? You have to meet them where they're at. And he's been doing it. He's been doing it. And he was in Ethiopia. He had like, I think almost a 5-hour stream. He passed out towards the end. He had passed out. So keep our family in prayer. I pray that this opens up his eyes, and with that platform, I pray that it opens up the eyes of many, many people around the world. Around the world. So if you'd like to, again, support this channel, you can do so. Cash App is $COVAWK1. Thank you for all those that help support the channel. I do appreciate it. Most High bless you all. Hallelujah. Thank you for the PayPals and the Zells. I appreciate it. To all you all, if I'm not able to personally thank you due to these the types of platforms, but I do appreciate you all support in this time, especially in a time where I don't know if I'm going to even be on, because once this thing gets going, censorship's going to kick on in. We're going to have to develop that code word. Like Dave Chappelle said, if they get to me, you'll know when I say that the promised land is in that pile of dirt over in the Eastern Mediterranean nation. All right, family. With that said, I got to get up on out of here. Shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom. Peace and blessings. Yasharel.